Hey folks, welcome back to my vlog channel again. And Santa Claus, clock, you know the drill, you know where I'm at. I'm in the living room. So anyway, I wanted to do an introduction to this video you're about to watch. I don't normally do introductions, but I thought in this case it was a good idea because I wanted to give you some additional backstory on what you're going to see. In this video, you're going to see a lot of closed down businesses and a lot of places that look pretty trashy and empty and abandoned. So I wanted to kind of explain what led to this over the years so that you have more of a understanding of how things got to where they are. Now, I'm going to be doing a driving tour in this video, and I'm going to make several stops at different places along the parkway. I'm going to show you some strip malls and things like that. We're going to talk about it briefly at each stop. But to kind of understand where we're at now and how we got here, you need to know a few things. And one of those is when the parkway opened up, it opened in its entirety in December of 1955. And when it opened, there was only one overpass on the parkway, period. There was no other overpasses. Everything else was grade level at grade intersections, which means the parkway intersected the side streets, cross streets on the same level. There was a either four-way stops, or there were traffic lights. So when the parkway opened up, then a lot of businesses started popping up immediately. A lot of hotels, motels, restaurants, all kinds of businesses. And what you see today are a lot of those remaining buildings that are no longer in business of any type. But that's what happened. They built a lot of these businesses and opened them up. And in the parkway, at that point, that was a very good place to have a business, because Huntsville back in the late 50s, before Redstone got going wide open with the missile program, Huntsville was just basically a cotton town. And so there was, when you got out, a couple miles outside town, there was nothing but flat cotton fields out here. Where I lived down here in South Huntsville, there was nothing out here. This didn't exist. It was just wide open, rural, flat fields out here. And that's the way it was. And so as time went on, the parkway got populated with businesses, grocery stores, strip malls, restaurants, etc., etc., etc. You look through Huntsville's history. We had Parkway City Mall, we had the mall, and we had nice hotels. We had some motels, just standard, motor courts and things like that. And those, some of those are still around and still open, but everything's really undergone a lot of changes. And so one thing to know for sure is that as the years have progressed, they've built more and more overpasses on the parkway. So it has turned since there's so much traffic traversing the parkway from north to south, this parkway is part of US 231. So there's a lot of through traffic going up and down the parkway. And so in an attempt to keep it moving, they have created all these overpasses over the intersections. And so that's been a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it keeps traffic moving, but it's a bad thing because traffic keeps moving and it doesn't stop at where the intersections were, where they originally built these businesses, like the malls and the restaurants and those type of gas stations, those type of things. So what happens is that when the overpass got built, whatever businesses were around there and on these, they built these access roads, they just withered up and died. So there's a lot of that, and it's especially prevalent more so on North Parkway. Most of the stops I'm making in this video are on North Parkway, and North Parkway has turned into more of a working class genteel area as opposed to South Parkway. And South Parkway isn't great, but so you're going to see in this video, you're going to see that there's traffic zooming by on a nice modern overpass on the parkway, and there's not much anywhere else. And that's what killed all these businesses, because the grocery stores and all that back in the day, they did a hell of a lot of business. I mean, that's, Kmart, it was just busy, busy, busy. So that's the backstory, and that's how it got to where it's at now. And so Huntsville has floated around different ideas to try to reinvigorate the Parkway. They've got all these places that got torn down. They rushed in and tore places down, and then they put them up, the lots up for sale, which you're going to see. They put the lots up for sale, and they're not selling. And I guess there's a fundamental. You hear me in the video talk about this, and I apologize for the coarse language at certain points, but it's true. Huntsville had this big idea. They still want to believe that the Parkway is a destination for new businesses and things like that because, like I said, they're tearing the old stuff down and they've got this nice blank lot for sale, and they think they're just going to build stuff. And people are going to rush to build things, and that's the thing. Demographics have changed. Huntsville has grown out, so there's a lot of suburbs that are being built. We've got like the Research Park on the west side of Huntsville. So things have grown out, and we've had 565, which has been built about 20 years now, and it has grown west out 565. So, that's where the population has spread out. The Parkway is no longer a business and a retail destination. And what you mean by that? That means that where somebody's going to go to do all their shopping, they don't do that anymore. We've got Bridge Street Town Center. We've got places like that have taken the place of that because there's many more people living these days in suburbs instead of close to town. So the essence of that is that I don't think the Parkway is ever coming back as far as, you seeing new businesses being built and stuff like that. They'll probably renovate some of the existing businesses, but I'd say especially North Parkway is probably going to turn into the same fate as Detroit. They're just basically going to start going on with a bulldozer and bulldozing down all these blocks and blocks of empty storefronts up there, which nobody's ever going to build in anymore, and they're not going to open up because there's not enough traffic, and it's perceived as the bummy side of town, and that's it. That's the way it is. Huntsville did it to themselves basically when they started getting all these overpasses built. They thought that's a great idea. It's a great idea, but in the end, it wasn't, because when you have a business, especially a business near an intersection, your goal is to get the traffic stopped so they can sit there in their cars and look at your business and say, well, maybe I'll turn in here and go in here. So when you've got somebody on an overpass, when you got somebody speeding along at 65 miles an hour down the Parkway on an overpass, they're not looking left or right to see what's off the side of the overpass, on the side of the Parkway. They're not looking at that. They're looking straight ahead, or they're looking at their cell phone, or they're looking at the radio. They're not looking. That's why all this stuff is closed down. And you mark my words, it's never coming back. These strip malls that you see, the ones that are just about empty and dead, I give them 5 years before they're all flat and gone. They just, when you get down to the point that there's a flea market in it, or a thrift store, or something like that, it doesn't, or a hair extension place, or a loan company, it doesn't get any better than that. That's it. That's the end of the road. Trader Joe's is not coming in there to replace that damn loan company, no matter how much you want them to. I say in the video you're going to watch, I say that's, this big shopping center down here has been empty. I'll show you in the video. They've been debating back and forth for years on that thing. And I assume the owner's just sitting there just using it as a tax write-off. They don't care. They don't care that there's nobody in there. They're going to wait until some developer who ain't coming is going to come in and give them millions of dollars for that property and redevelop it. And it's not going to happen, okay? How dumb can these people be to believe this? It doesn't happen, because You don't invest money like that on a property that is under an overpass, okay? An overpass is death to a business. Do you get that? Now, if that was still an at-grade parkway like it used to be back in the day, if it was still at grade and traffic was slowed down and people were looking for things to do off the parkway, that'd be a whole different story. That's why they built that there originally 45, 50 years ago. It's not anymore. You have overpasses. The business is not coming back. Just have to accept that, okay? So, you know, you can wish for Trader Joe's and all that as long as you want to, but it's over. It's over. Write the obituary. It's over. So, and you know, I could be wrong. They're building the new high school, the replacement for Grissom over here that's been on Bailey Cove since 1967. They're replacing it with a new school. So, I could be very wrong. I could, you know, if I move away from Huntsville, I could come back in 5 years and it could be totally changed and all that. I could be totally wrong, but I say it's not coming back. The only way they will get business back to like Hazelton Square or Hamilton Place is mow it down and build one of these box stores that everybody wants to go to, and I don't know what that would be, you know, because they've got Lowe's, they got Sam's Club, they got a Walmart, they got all that already there, you know. The only thing I could think of that would help right there, maybe if they would just put in, you know, flatten the thing. I hate to say that because I like old stuff, but, you know, flatten the thing and build it back with a bunch of good restaurants, you know, and some stuff like that that people actually want to go to. But I don't know. So anyway, I'm rambling, guys, so let's get on with the video. I hope you enjoy this, and I'm sorry for all the ambient noise, but I was standing right next to the thoroughfare. The traffic is zooming by. And if you notice, I'm going to tell you a little bit of, I'll give you a behind the scenes explanation. When you're watching one of the next clips when I'm standing in the parking lot with the shopping center where I say it used to be Builder Square, if you'll notice there's a car comes by me down the parking lot, like a four-door or some kind of Oldsmobile or something like that. And you notice I got to slow down talking because I was watching, while I was holding the camera, I was watching this guy because that car kind of slowed down right there, and that's not a good area. So it's an area that you got to keep your head on a swivel all the time. So I was watching them to see what was going on because I didn't want somebody, you know, trying to stop and ask me for money or some kind of crap like that. So that's a little behind the scenes tip there. All right, watch the video, enjoy, see ya. Okay, we're going to do a little driving tour of Huntsville and look at some old buildings and what's become of them and what kind of condition they're in now, what's going on with them. So first stop is here on the Parkway, the AMF Bowling Alley. Well, actually my car is parked in front of what used to be the AMF Bowling Alley, AMF Lanes, before it burnt down a couple years ago. And there was talk that they were going to rebuild this building, but it never come to fruition. They decided not to. So the bowling alley that's down the way down there, which is the, let's see, that is Playmore down there. You can just see it. That's it down there. Got a reprieve. Sorry for the shaky camera. I'm a shaky person. They were going to tear it down and expand that stupid ass car lot right there, but they decided not to, so it's still in operation, thank goodness. But so they were trying to sell this lot, I guess, and it's not selling because nobody wants to build on an access road on the Parkway. It's a bad spot. And this over here is what used to be the Huntsville Times building before Huntsville Times got sold to AL.com, who is hard at work trying to turn all kinds of print media into digital media. So they tore it down and they're trying to sell it, and it's not been sold yet. Same deal there. So let's move on. Okay then, next up we're at another retail wasteland here in Huntsville. This is, I'm not even sure what the name, oh, no. I thought there was a name on this place, but I guess not. Anyway, this is a strip mall here that's been here for a long time. It's on North Parkway, and it's kind of went downhill pretty bad here. This used to be a builder's square when it started out on that end, and what's in the middle I don't remember. Right there through there that says Discount Home Center, don't know what that was. It might have been part of builder's square, I don't know. And down right there where that furniture, I guess that used to be supposed to be Furniture for Less or whatever. They used to be a food world. I used to, on another job I had, I used to actually service that store. It's been a long time ago, but I was headed over there back in 2001 when 9/11 happened. And I was on my way to the store back when it was a food world. You just saw that sign here, Food World Plaza, I guess that's what they called it. And it used to be a drugstore of some sort down there where that Dollar General is. But this, like I said, this is on North Parkway. And not only does it have these overpasses built, which is good for killing businesses, but this is sort of the hood now. North Parkway used to be more of a destination for shopping and hotels and restaurants than it is now. It's went way downhill. They've torn down. There used to be a hotel over on that side of the parkway, that big one they tore it. So, anyway, I'm getting out of here. Up here on the right, when we get through this intersection, I want you to take a look. There's one of these original Arby's, original style Arby's that you never see anymore. This is the only one like this anywhere around here that I'm aware of. Check it, it's barrel roof Arby's. Like I said, this is absolutely not the good area of town. I'm not stopping there. Okay, here's another retail wasteland in Huntsville on North Parkway. This is what's now called Memorial Plaza. But any of you who know grocery stores will recognize what this building used to be. This is an old A&P Centennial store. It's not been A&P for many, many years. Last thing was in it was a thrift store, which actually went out of business. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty sad when a thrift store is able to go out of business. So, anyway, just a basic strip. Nothing worth noting here at all. Just a bunch of junk. And there's a little building up here. Used to be, I don't know what that used to be, but it kind of matches that Centennial building right there, if you notice that. But I'm doing this from the safety of my car here. I don't want to get out. I know there used to be a big service station here somewhere, and I don't know if that pad right there with the supports for an old sign is part of it or not. Okay, time to move on again. Okay, just down the street from where we were, we're at Oak Park Shopping Center, same side of the road. And this is interesting. This used to be a Kroger superstore, whatever they called those. Distinctive front porch on it, porticos there, and this has been here quite a long time. Not even sure this was built as a super center, but it was replaced by the new Kroger, which is over there. They kept the old sign at least. It's over there across the road, and this is now a thrift store. It's still doing pretty good. Got some other various businesses over there. Singer Sewing Center, Chicken Cash, Ebony Beauty Supply, H&R Block, the Loan Company. Another classic 1960s and 70s shopping center here, strip mall. And this empty building here on the corner used to be a Nutbuster or Blockbuster Video, I think. It's out of it. Yeah, it is. There's a sign for it. It's out of business, just like Blockbuster is. Okay, let's continue. Okay then, our next stop, we're same side of the street. We are on the other side of the strip mall I just showed you with the old Kroger building in it. That's the other side of it here. And this is the other Kmart. This is the one on North Parkway. This one also closed around the same time the one on South Parkway did that I showed you in another video way back. And this has now been repurposed as a at-home, whatever this place is, home decor superstore. And this illustrates something, how much of a market share that Kmart had when they were at their peak. Look at the size of this parking lot. This was all for Kmart. There's an air conditioner unit over there that's making some bad noises. And keep in mind also that this parkway did not have all these overpasses here, so this one wasn't here at that point. It was just a flat intersection. So I hope this one hangs in there. I think the other Kmart building's got some bad news coming its way. We're about to check it out. Okay, then I'm going to show you another quick glimpse that I'm not going to bother stopping for because there's a gate up in front of it. But if you look on the right over here, I'm going to point the camera at it. There's an old Taco Bell that's been shut down for a long time. It's stuck right there. See it? It's an old style Taco Bell. I think I ate at that thing a couple times when it was actually in business. Okay, well, here is the old Kmart that I did the video on back whenever it was end of the road for an old Kmart, and this building has sat empty since then. And I don't know quite what is going on with this. There's a lot of construction equipment out, and they have ripped up these old light stanchions, as you can see here. But the interesting part is they put new ones in. It's like right there. So looks like they have demolished the end part of that building down there. It's kind of an effort to get up there to that and show you that, but I'm hoping they're not going to take the whole thing down. I hope they're just going to reuse part of this building, but we'll find out. I'll update you when that happens or doesn't happen. So hopefully this building is going to be repurposed finally, not just demolished. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one there. Onward. Okay, I navigated around to the other side of this old Kmart building, and so you can kind of see what's going on this end. Torn everything away from the framework, so I don't know what the story is on this. I have to look it up, see if there's any news articles on it, but those girders there, that's the first time they've seen the light of day since 1970. So anyway, I guess if it's like anything else Huntsville ever does, is it'll be replaced by something stupid. Probably an assortment of just crap. Nothing any good. That's the way it always goes. As you can see, Huntsville does a real good job of attracting retail as it is. I'm just going to give you a personal point of view here. Huntsville's just a bunch of people just driving around buying this random junk. That's all it is. People doing basically nothing. There's nothing interesting going on here. It's not an interesting city. It's nothing. It's just a bunch of people and a bunch of high-priced cars going around spending money. That's it. That's all there is. It's the only claim to fame Huntsville, Alabama has. Now, looking at this building, you wouldn't believe this used to be a Kroger Supercenter, would you? But it did, and they totally renovated this to get it. What's the common words we use now to say we update an old building to modern appearances? We bring it more in line with current standards or something like that. That's one thing about Huntsville. If you live here long enough, you'll notice right away that they looking over there, something I didn't realize had happened over there at that building, but I'll show you that in a second. That's, if you live here long enough, you'll learn real quick that Huntsville's all about appearances. Anything old, at least on South Parkway, which is south of University Drive, anything old is not acceptable. Even if it's perfectly usable and functional, I've said this before, but it's not acceptable because the people in Huntsville, even though they don't do anything very noteworthy, and it's not a noteworthy city, they want new things to make them, new generic things to make themselves feel better. All the restaurants in Huntsville are chain restaurants. If somebody eats a good steak in Huntsville, it's eating at what they could say is a good steak. It's eating at a chain restaurant all the time. There are no family-owned steakhouses here, ever. There used to be, but when Huntsville got invaded by the Brack people and the yuppies and the high-class rednecks, they didn't want any standard old steakhouses, independents left. They want Outback, Logan's, Longhorn, Applebee's, oh, Charlie's, which there's only one of those left. There's not even a Shoney's left in this city. See, we're too good. In Huntsville, we're too good to eat at Shoney's. Everybody here in Huntsville considers themselves better. That's what it is. It's too good. So you know, take that for what it is. When you hear somebody here say that you're going to go eat a good steak at fucking Outback, that tells you how high class Huntsville really is. Well, as an aside, Huntsville is busy building overpasses on the Parkway so that people that travel the Parkway can drive even faster than they already do. Because there's one thing that happens in Huntsville, is that people don't obey the speed limit, ever. And I don't know what you attribute that to. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's the black people that moved here that have encouraged that or what it is, but I could do a video about that one day. I could just drive around Huntsville and drive close to the speed limit, a little bit over it, and show you how fast the people drive. Are you gonna turn or not, pal? And they're impatient. People in Huntsville are impatient. Huntsville now is a bunch of geeky looking people, and I'm a geeky looking person myself, so I know how to identify geeky looking people. But it's funny because, you know, we're in North Alabama and everybody likes to kid me about my accent, but if you ever speak to people around Huntsville, you'll notice that they don't sound like people from native Alabama anymore at all. Even the people that are born here now in this city, they don't sound like they were, you know, from the South. They have St. Louis accents, California accents, Florida accents, and it's passed down, you know. Of course, your parents, they speak how they hear their parents speak, so that's interesting. Huntsville, the great melting pot. So we're going to turn in down here. Our last stop is going to be at the old, yeah, I talked about them speeding. They sure aren't today, are they? Can't get off the, there we go. We're going to turn in down here and check out the old Hazen Square Hamilton Place Shopping Center, which is still sitting mostly empty after the last video I made. See, I was going to say this has gotten even more empty, but I think it's kind of, we had like one restaurant closed and one maybe is going to open back up again. We'll check it out. Post office used to be right on that corner right there where those shrubs are. There it is. It's back. Oh yeah, out parcel available. They're going to build right there in front of that shut down shopping center. Huntsville's trying to sell all this property on the Parkway. Now this says Popeyes closed to due to remodeling. Popeyes Huntsville regrets we have been ordered by Popeyes corporate in Atlanta to remove the buffet. Reopen this fall. I bet they don't. I bet they don't. That's the biggest lie in retail. When a company that's a chain is going to go out of business for good, like at least one of their restaurants like this one, see, they don't say they're just closing because that looks bad. See, that's too bad. So they lie about it. They say, well, we're going to remodel. Oh, it's been a year later and we're still remodeling. We're going to reopen. So here it is in all its glory. It's still here. Staples is still there at the far end. Everything else looks closed. It's all closed. This whole section of this thing's now closed, except for Staples. when Staples goes out, if it does, if they move finally, the whole damn thing's gonna be empty. Just the way they like it here. Isn't that great? Goodies is gone. Everything's gone. I want to tell you a personal story here real quick. Back in my youth, back when I was a little kid, you see this little opening right there? Somebody told me that used to go all the way through. It's closed at the end down there now, but somebody told me that got done by a tornado. But that opening right there, oh, here comes a speeder. Check him out. He's racing through here. Ain't that cool, dude? You can go as fast over here as you can out on the parkway. So anyway, somebody was telling me that was done by a tornado. But what I remember is my parents used to be drinkers, and there was a bottle shop right down there at the end on the left that's been walled off, part of it, but it was there. We used to go in there, park around the back there, and sneak in there and get a bottle. That's what you did when you didn't want your people that you knew to know you drank, I guess. Look at it. Ain't this beautiful? This is a retail wasteland. So wonderful looking at all the closed stores here at Hamilton Place. And that barber shop over there. They're building a new school back there, Grissom High School, so this will be a nice place for everybody that's coming in and out to pick their kids up or to go to school or whatever, to whiz by and not stop at because it's closed. I was going to show you over here, but I'm going to get hit in the process. Now this one is actually, this side, I think this is Hamilton Square, whatever the hell they called it. But it's still hanging in here. They got a CC's, the Songbird shop, got a pet depot. So this one, in marked contrast to the other one, is actually doing something. What I wanted to show you down here is I noticed last time I was over here buying something from Home Depot that there's suddenly some activity at this old Shoney's over here, and it's looking good. Come on, come on, come on, consumers, come on. That's what we do on Saturday in Huntsville, we go buy things. So what is this place going to turn into? This is coming soon, South Gator Trading Company. Well, that sounds good. Alrighty then, I'm hoping this is something good to eat at. Finally something that's not a damn chain, maybe. South Gator Trading Company. Taste of New Orleans. Like I said, this used to be a Shoney's, and I've eaten at this thing several times, and then it was one of those kind of off-brand Asian places, Chinese, China Grill, some shit like that. I don't know what it was. But I want to tell you something also interesting about this corner right here. You see it's a big blank spot, which is a famous out parcel, they call it. And it's been sitting here empty for probably 20 years. They're trying to get somebody to build something here, which they're not going to yet until this thing comes back to life all the way. But that used to be sort of a drive-through service station. And you zoomed in off the access road right there as fast as you could because you're a Huntsvillian and you drive fast, and that's just what you do. But you zoomed in and you went through the gas pumps sort of reminded you of like a toll booth type of arrangement. You know, it just had all these, like this big wide driveway funneling into them, and there was probably like 3 or 4 of them across there, and you just screeched to a halt right there with your brakes smoking, and then you pumped your gas, and then you were funneled into a drive that circled around and came around this way, like sort of like this, and then back out again. So it was pretty convenient, but it was unusual. And of course, like I said, that was something that didn't fit in with Huntsville's. Hi, Mom. It didn't fit in with Huntsville's grand envisioned plan for this area of the city, so that had to be torn down promptly when it closed the first time. And I'm going to keep hammering that point home, that they've torn all this shit down and because they had this idea that everybody's going to just flock into here and rebuild everything here, and it's going to be great and everybody's going to be happy and a lot of tax revenue, and it's not happened. All the residents down here, they keep complaining about this place, this shopping center. Well, we just don't understand why it's just allowing to sit there and be empty. We don't know what's going on with that. Is someone got to put things, they keep writing in stuff like, well, we want Trader Joe's down there. Are we going to put in a Trader Joe's? So I don't know what they're ever going to do with that. The people that own it, obviously they don't care. So it'll either be torn down and totally redeveloped, or something along those lines will happen to it, I suppose. See, that's what you do when people see a building like that sit there. It gets a stigma. See, they don't, even if you put something nice and new in it, they still probably wouldn't get very much business, because it's just the insinuation that it's old, that I'm still going to an old building to spend my money. That's how consumers are. That's how their minds work. I'm in the retail business. I know that's how they work. So, probably what will have to happen is they'll mow it down, and they'll say, oh, they'll make a big headline in the newspaper, and they'll say, oh, we're going to tear this down, and we're just going to redevelop it, and then all the consumers are going to flock in there because it's all something brand new. Oh. Well, good luck with that. Okay, guys, that's the end of this one. See ya.